How dare you say something like this about the very man responsible for you having 6 rings and for you ultimately being viewed as one of the greatest 50 players of all time.
He was purely a product and creation of the greatest player to play in any sport ever. That's not a Hall of Famer. That's not even close to a top 50 player because he was created by Michael Jordan.
Scottie Pippen wasn't a superstar? Stop it, Victor.
No,
Yeah, come on.
He was a
Stop.
star, but he wasn't a superstar.
What's up guys, my name is Mark, and I'm here to defend Scottie Pippen's legacy. Because I'm tired of this man not getting the respect that he deserves. And I want to clear up some misconceptions about his career. Whenever Scottie Pippen's name is brought up, it either comes with a big caveat, or it either comes with some sort of premise like Pippen should not be compared to player X, because unlike player X, Pippen played second fiddle to someone else. And there's certainly a couple of reasons for why some people have negative opinions of Scottie Pippen as a player. Michael Jordan dominated the NBA in such an unprecedented way in the 90s that he transcended the sport of basketball. Be Like Mike, the commercials, the shoes, the swagger, everything about this man became legendary. And look, I've said before, I believe Jordan is the greatest of all time, but no player has ever won a championship by himself. But as part of the media machine that was creating the basketball god Michael Jordan, some fans were semi-brainwashed into thinking that Jordan's supporting cast was nothing special. And obviously, Scottie Pippen took the biggest legacy hit as the leader of that supporting cast. Since his retirement in 2004, Scottie Pippen has also at times said some controversial things, such as LeBron would beat Michael Jordan one-on-one, or LeBron may be the best to ever play the game. And these comments were made back in 2011, before LeBron won his first ring, and before LeBron versus MJ was even remotely a debate. At the time, many people came out and criticized Scottie Pippen for these comments, saying, "How dare you, you wouldn't have been if not for Michael Jordan." And obviously without Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen for sure wouldn't have won 6 championships. But then some people say Michael Jordan made Scottie Pippen into a top 50 player. And this is the type of statement I have a problem with. On paper, it seems like it's true. For someone who was the second option for most of his career, Scottie Pippen seems to be ranked pretty high ahead on most people's all-time list, ahead of some quote first option superstar wing players like Dominique Wilkins, George Iceman Gervin, Tracy McGrady. But the key here is most. Scottie Pippen was the second option most of his career. But there actually was one year when Scottie Pippen, a prime Scottie Pippen, wasn't the second option. It was when he was the first option. In 1993, Michael Jordan announced his first retirement and went to go play baseball. Bulls were coming off a 57-win season where they ended up winning the championship. And with their best player just all of a sudden leave for nothing, few people even had this team in the playoffs. And thus their projected win total was somewhere between 25 and 30. But to the surprise of many, Scottie Pippen led the team to 55 wins, just 2 less than the season before. Again, all without Michael Jordan. He was 3rd in MVP voting that year, 4th in PER, and his Chicago Bulls made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and he took the New York Knicks to 7 games. And some say that the Chicago Bulls would have beaten the New York Knicks if not for a highly questionable foul call towards the end of Game 5 that some people say might be the worst foul call of all time. But even if, let's say, that was a fair call, Scottie Pippen was still 1 win away from taking a team to the finals. There's also this narrative I've heard where people say Scottie Pippen had 2 All-Star teammates that year, referring to Horace Grant and BJ Armstrong, to which I say, did you bother looking at their numbers? BJ Armstrong that year, 14.8 points, 3.9 assists, 2.1 rebounds. Yes, he was voted in as an all-star because at the time there were a lot of Bulls fans because they had just won 3 championships in a row. And after MJ left, they wanted to vote in another Bull in his place. Easily one of the worst all-star selections of all time. No other way to put it. BJ Armstrong that year had no business being an all-star. Horace Grant's all-star selection was a lot more understandable. He put up some borderline all-star caliber numbers. But let's not get it twisted. Horace Grant was not nearly the second option to Scottie Pippen as Scottie Pippen was to Michael Jordan. Oh, and the season after, Horace Grant left the Bulls to join the Orlando Magic, but Scottie Pippen still kept the Bulls above 500 before Michael Jordan came out of retirement, and Pippen managed to do so by leading the team in every major statistical category. Again, the roster in 1994 more or less stayed the same from the year before, and the roster in 1995 without Horace Grant was simply horrendous. Scottie Pippen, quite frankly, never had that great of a supporting cast as the number 1 option, no matter how you twist it. So this 1 season and a half from start to finish, we saw Scottie Pippen be the number one superstar on the Chicago Bulls, and we saw him lead his team to a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the funny thing is, Scottie Pippen didn't have to be the second option. He very well could have been like, you know what? It feels great being the number one option, you know? It feels great to have people respect me as one of the greatest players in the world. It feels great to be in the MVP race every single year. But that's not what he did when Michael Jordan came back, because Scottie Pippen cared much more about winning than individual accomplishments. Simple as that. And I'm not trying to suggest that winning does matter more than individual accomplishments when you're judging a player. Like I've talked about multiple times on this channel, it comes down to what you value. It's an opinion. But regardless of what opinion you hold, the facts are that Scottie Pippen could have been a number one option if he wanted to. He could have been an MVP caliber player if he wanted to, because he showed us and he proved to us that he could, with an average to below average supporting cast. So this is why I'm dumbfounded when people say, oh, don't compare James Harden or Kawhi Leonard to Scottie Pippen. Those two are superstars. Scottie Pippen was nothing more than a wingman. Oh, interesting. So what exactly has James Harden done as the number one option for his team? He's led his team to the conference finals once, and he's been top 3 in MVP voting. Oh wait, exactly what Scottie Pippen did as the number one option in just one season. And yes, Kawhi Leonard does have one finals MVP on his resume in 2014, where he averaged 17.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, 1.8 steals, and played great defense on LeBron. You really don't think Scottie Pippen could have done what Kawhi did in 2014? Because Scottie Pippen has put up better numbers than those in the finals multiple times. It's just that he was overshadowed by the greatest player of all time. And you best bet that Scottie Pippen could have done just as good a job defensively on LeBron as any wing defender that has ever lived. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just taking random shots at James Harden or Kawhi Leonard. Both of them have many years left in their careers to go. They could very well surpass Scottie Pippen in terms of legacy. I wish them nothing but the best. All I'm saying is that there is a comparison, and there's no denying that Scottie Pippen was by every definition a superstar player. Yes, he played second fiddle to MJ for most of his career, but he made that choice. He didn't want to end up like Dominique Wilkins, George Gervin, T-Mac, Vince Carter, Iverson, Charles Barkley, superstar players that never won the championship. I find it really funny how some analysts get so caught up with just points per game. It's probably the most overused stat when we're judging superstar players. They say, oh, well, Scottie Pippen only averaged 22 points per game. How can you compare him to Iverson or T-Mac or Vince Carter? I agree, Scottie Pippen wasn't the scorer that those three guys were, but Scottie Pippen was everything else and more. First of all, there's something to be said for being an elite lockdown defender as compared to an average to below average defender. There's something to be said for being a fantastic rebounder and fantastic passer as a small forward. And those three guys who a lot of people put in a different stratosphere than Scottie Pippen, they all shot 45% or lower in their prime. You really don't think Scottie Pippen could have just taken 5 more shots a game, averaged 26, 27 points per game at a lower efficiency than he did? Because he could have. And again, this is not to denigrate what those players have accomplished in their careers. This is simply to say that Scottie Pippen belongs in the same echelon as those players do, not just in terms of legacy, but also just in terms of individual greatness and ability. And again, I kind of hate saying this as a T-Mac fan. Scottie Pippen being a top 3 MVP candidate and leading his team to the conference finals with an average to below average supporting cast is more than T-Mac or even Vince Carter ever did as a player. And that's just facts. The truth is, and like Phil Jackson said multiple times in his book 11 Rings, Scottie Pippen could have very well eased up a little on defense, not try as hard to lock down the opposing team's best player every single night, be a little more selfish, and put up quote-unquote superstar numbers if he wanted to. He could have easily demanded to be traded somewhere where he was the first option and where he got the respect that he deserved for being the type of player he was. But guess what? He cared about winning more. Phil Jackson, quote, Pippen brought out the best in players, in some ways more so than Jordan ever did. Reggie Miller said, quote, Scottie Pippen could dominate the game by scoring 5 points. Karl Malone, quote, I would start my team with Scottie Pippen. You want to know why? I just remember when Michael retired and their team wasn't very good, and Scottie led that team in every major statistical category. Plus, he's a guy who could care less about scoring. He wants to stop the best player on the opposing team. Steve Kerr, Bill Winnington, John Paxson, and every other teammate Scottie Pippen ever played with said Pippen was the most unselfish superstar they've ever played with. Instead of celebrating egomaniacs, alpha dog players who are the man on the team who get their numbers every single night, why not we celebrate the sacrifice of one's individual accomplishments for the betterment of his teammates and for a greater purpose? Because that is the embodiment of Scottie Pippen's career. I'm MDJ, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.